This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law. In accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. This meeting of February 3rd, 2025 was published in the Courier News and Star Ledger and placed on the borough's website and bulletin board at Borough Hall. A copy of this notice is available to the public, and a copy of this statement shall be included in the minutes of this meeting. Mayor Brian Gallagher.
Here.
Council members, Teresa Bonner,
Here.
Andrew Conti,
Here.
Glenn Denny,
Here.
Randy Pitts,
Here.
Gina Stravic,
Here.
Roger Vroom.
All right, I'm going to ask the Somerville Boy Scout Troop 84 to come forward and please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Good? Okay, go ahead.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Is there one of you who would like to talk to us a little bit about why you're here? All right, step right up to the microphone. And what's your name?
Hi, my name is Phil Sushko. So we're part of Troop 84. We're here on behalf of Communications Merit Badge. We are here to observe the public meeting and take notes on difference of opinions.
Okay, all right. We do have those at times. I don't know if we'll have any tonight, but we'll see. The night's young yet, so we'll see.
We can make it happen.
All right. Let's go on to approval of the minutes of January 21.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Council members, Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Denny,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
Departmental reports and notices are as listed. Before we go into committee reports, I'm actually going to take and jump the proclamations from number 7 up to number 6. We have one proclamation tonight, and it's for Robert Wood Johnson Somerset here in Somerville. And they are celebrating their 125th anniversary. And I'd like to ask Deirdre Blouse, the Chief Operating Officer, is that? Chief?
It's Chief Administrative Officer.
It's the chief.
It's with us.
It's the chief.
You can call me anything.
So just by, the medical center is, it's not only a vital part of our community, it's a vital part of Somerset County. And it's also a neighbor of mine. I live a block away, and I think I'm an annuity for the medical center. So it's with great pride that we put this resolution together that, 125 years ago, there was a group of very concerned, small group of concerned citizens that understood the need for medical attention right here in Somerville. And from that, a great history occurred. So I'd like to read this. It's a little lengthy, but I think it's warranted. So it's a resolution recognizing Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, Somerset, on their 125th anniversary. Whereas in 1899, a group of citizens and physicians started a campaign to build a hospital in Somerville in order to ensure that its community had access to timely medical care close to home. And whereas a board of trustees was formed and Somerset Hospital, now known as Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, Somerset, was officially incorporated on December 6, 1899. And whereas the hospital is the only acute care hospital in Somerset County, offering comprehensive health care services that generations of families throughout central New Jersey have relied on throughout their lives. Its services include emergency, behavioral, cancer, surgical, cardiology, maternity, rehabilitation, and imaging services. And whereas the 339-bed hospital records 14,000 admissions, 49,700 emergency room visits, 180,000 outpatient visits, 6,600 surgeries, and 800 births each year. And whereas the hospital is nationally recognized as a magnet hospital for nursing excellence by the American Nurses Credentialing Center, and by Health Grades as one of America's 250 best hospitals, ranking among the top 5% in the nation. And whereas Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Somerset is distinguished as the first hospital in New Jersey to offer primary care services for the LGBTQ+ community, and one of only 2 hospitals in the state to offer inpatient care for the treatment of eating disorders. And whereas the hospital offers outpatient services at locations throughout central New Jersey, including physical therapy locations in Bridgewater, Flemington, Hillsborough, and Princeton, and sleep medicine, cardiac rehabilitation, and laboratory services in Hillsborough. I'm almost done. And whereas, as a facility of RWJ Barnabas Health, which has created a world-class academic health system with Rutgers University, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Somerset offers patients access to a network of 12 acute care hospitals, 4 children's hospitals, and a freestanding behavioral health center. And whereas, in partnership with the Rutgers Cancer Institute, the hospital's Steeplechase Cancer Center offers state-of-the-art outpatient cancer care services and provides access to the latest treatments and clinical trials. And whereas, as a teaching hospital affiliated with Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School, the hospital maintains a family medicine residency program with 21 residents. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Brian Gallagher, Mayor of the Borough of Somerville, along with the Somerville Borough Council, hereby officially recognize Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital Somerset for 125 years of caring for its community. Congratulations. Thank you. Do you want to say anything?
No, it is our pleasure and honor to care for the community, to go from a 12-bed community hospital to 339 beds, and as soon as we get an update from the state, we'll be 343 beds and able to move into that beautiful space upstairs you saw. Actually, next week we anticipate moving in. We're just thrilled to care for the community. Like I said, it is a privilege and an honor and something that we take great pride in providing the latest quality, technology, and advancing care for this community so you don't have to travel. It's our pleasure, and we look forward to another 125 years of great partnership with the borough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for those that don't know, the original hospital is still in Somerville. It's on East Main Street. There's a rooming house on East Main Street directly across from the Cancer Center, across from Rehill Avenue. And that was the original home of the hospital. Still there today. So it's pretty cool. Good stuff.
Mayor, could you check your mic?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay,
Yeah. You're not getting me?
we'll find out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go into committee reports. Andrew.
Nothing to report.
Okay. Gina.
No report.
Okay. Glenn.
I just have environmental. We'll be meeting next Tuesday, February 11th, right here at 7 p.m.
Excellent. Thank you. Teresa.
Thank you. So last Thursday, January 30th, the Library Board of Trustees held their quarterly meeting. The branch manager gave her report on 2024. And as usual, the numbers are really amazing. Compared to 2023, in 2024, the program attendance and outreach was up 347%. The new library accounts were up 65%, and the door count was up 9% from the previous year. And there is one interesting new change that's going to be coming to the library in the next few months, and the plan is to create a local history loft and an art loft where the teen loft currently resides. So that is, I think, going to be a really interesting and great improvement at the library. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you. Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take this time to invite everyone to a presentation from the Somerset County Prosecutor's Office and the New Jersey State Police. Safer Internet Day, keeping your children safe. This will be held at Raritan Valley Community College, February 11th at 7 p.m., and everyone's welcome. Hope to see you there.
Thank you. Roger.
Briefly, the registration is now open for the spring soccer program for students grades 1 through 8. The portal opened this morning at 9 a.m. And my mic's not on. I'll try that again. So, again, the portal opened this morning for the Somerville Recreation Soccer League, spring soccer for students in grades 1 through 8. Registration is $60 per child. And, if anyone would like to be a coach, volunteers are always needed. In order to be a coach, you have to participate in the Rutgers Safety Certification Program. So for those folks who are looking for a way to get more involved in the borough and make an impact on young people's lives, coaching is definitely a great way to do it. We're always looking for coaches and referees. So if you have the time, or if you don't have the time, make the time and become part of the recreation community. That's all I have.
Great. All right, thank you. At this point, I will ask for a motion to open up the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call.
Council members: Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Denny,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, meeting is open to the public. Sure. Yeah, please approach the mic. Please state your name and address for the record, and please address your comments to me.
Hello, Jeff Kaiser, 23 Vanderveer Avenue, Somerville. I just have a couple comments on what's on the agenda for tonight. There's 2 resolutions that are up for, voting on. The first one about is the -56 for the authorizing the planning board of the borough re-examination of the redevelopment. I love the fact that you guys are looking at this. This is great. I think it needs a fresh look. I'm really happy to see that you're taking a look at this. The one criticism I would have and concern I have is that it describes, it would reflect the needs and objectives of the borough. And I've read this multiple times, and there's a lot of like generic things looking at, rules and regulations and making sure things are up to speed. But there's nothing in here that gives the planning board any kind of objectives or the needs that you might have outlined. And I was just curious why that might have not been put in from, as you guys are directing the planning board to re-examine this. So I would have liked to see some objectives defined or needs that you consider what you want to have them do. What areas you like to, what are the things you want to have them do with the redevelopment? The second thing was to look at, I've read this like multiple times, the -57, and I have no idea what this means, the releasing of the bond for the playground. Having been part of a little bit of this whole process, I'm just curious, is the town getting the money? Are they getting the money? Where's the money going? And they don't have to build the playground. Does that mean that we're getting the land? Are they keeping the land? If we're getting the money, are we going to use that towards something? I'm sorry, I've read this a lot. I can't figure it out. So that's really all I had. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other public comment? Yes.
Christine Prorock Rogers, 372 William Street. First, thank you for letting us attend tonight, and thank you for all you do for the borough. I know you have the borough's best interests in mind at all times, and I appreciate that very much. Several topics that concern me as a resident. Pedestrian safety, number one. I am an active runner. I run every day on our sidewalks and through our crosswalks. I have been struck by a vehicle several times. None of them serious, but it shouldn't have to matter if it's serious or fatal. It's a significant concern, and it remains a concern. Vehicles are driving far too fast, even with our borough-wide 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. So anything that can be done to enforce that would be awesome. My second complaint is Amazon drivers. They're really becoming a nuisance. They park on any street on either side. They don't have to follow the laws, apparently, as to which side of the street they park on. They block traffic on Grove Street during rush hour. They just stop and they walk away, and it creates a real hazard for those of us that are commuting to and from work. So if any attention could be given to proper vehicle operation by everybody in the borough, that would be very much appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yeah.
Brian Cassidy, I live at 300 Grove. Actually segues pretty much why I'm here today, is traffic safety in this town. I really feel, I've been living on Grove Street since 2001, and it's not that uncommon for people to pass me on the 2 yellow line because I do drive the speed limit. But, you know, we've had several fatalities in this town. At least 2 people have been killed at the corner of Main and Grove Street in the last few years. This poor woman's been hit. But we just really don't, you know, the traffic calming devices on Grove Street have been removed. And all the years, you know, I was part of this group about 2 years ago. I came here and with some William Street people who were also concerned. There was some accidents on William Street at that point. And I asked the borough, and some of you were here, Mayor Gallagher was not, but some of you were here. And I said, when you're traveling west on William Street and you get to Grove, I asked for a no turn on red sign because of the bridge abutment. You really cannot get a good view up Grove Street. And why I'm here is on Friday I was driving home. I was driving north on Grove Street, and somebody kind of like came to a rolling stop in that intersection and forced me to jam on my brakes because they're trying to get, you know, make just a rolling stop on red. And, you know, I think that would be like a major step. But, you know, also the other thing too is that we don't get speed enforcement. I see it on Mountain and I see it on Gaston, but I never see it on Bridge and I never see it on Grove. You know, if there's no one posted up, there's no police officer. I know they have a hard job, but I think if we just post it up every once in a while so people know they're there, maybe we could get some people to just realize, hey, I might get a ticket because I see cops here. Like, I see them on Mountain. Like, I know when I come off of Mountain Avenue, go up Mountain Avenue towards Main, I know there might be a cop at the top of the hill. Same thing on Gaston. You know, not that I'm going to speed anyway. It's not, you know, I try to, you know, obey the traffic laws because obviously I'm here to discuss them. But I really feel it is, just like that woman said, I really feel it's a serious issue and a very dangerous issue. And now, you know, some child got hit, and now we have crossing guards now at Bridge and Young. So, you know, again, that's costing the taxpayers money. You know, I mean, yeah, it's a necessary safety thing, but we never had to do it. Now we have to do it. And I think we wouldn't have to do it if people just would stop, you know, flying up. And Bridge, I think, is even worse sometimes because it's wider. So people, it's more of a race car driver scene than even Grove is. But like I would sit out there when you had the traffic calming thing, I could see it from where I'm, you know, raking the leaves. And it's rare to see someone, when that was there, coming down my street at less than 40 miles an hour. So rare. 40 miles an hour was the average.
When you say traffic calming, is that the speed radar sign?
Yeah, those signs that would flash, you know, if you're going too fast, they disappeared. There was one on the Williams side of Grove going north, and there was one right by the Young and Grove side
gone?
going south. And I guess they malfunctioned after a while, and they were never replaced.
Okay, all right.
So, okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Any other public comment? I'm going to address all of these once we get through public session. Yes. Just state your name and address for the record and address your comments tonight.
Okay. My name is Nick Martinez. I live at 611 Glenridge Drive. For context, I work at a rec program in Bridgewater called BR Skateboarding. I think they've approached you before.
Yes.
Just quick question about Resolution 53 about the street fair. If we would want to put up a stand or something, would we be okay to do that or something like that?
Okay. I will answer all the questions once everybody has.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to close.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Council members: Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Denny,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, public session is closed. All right, I'll try to take them one by one. So, number 56, I will address that resolution. I'm actually going to pull that off for a separate discussion, and I will address those those comments at that time. So I'll pull that off, I'll address it then. 57, so 57 is the end of a long saga. The original intent, we had gone through this when we formalized the approval. I'll try to condense it down very briefly. So the original intent of the council and the planning board in the redevelopment agreement with that developer was to have a park placed in that piece of property. Long story short, the borough cannot certify that that property is clean. We believe it's clean, but no testing, the property owner, the current property owner, will not allow the borough to come onto the property in order to test, because they have documentation that says it's already clean. So you probably understand, I understand why. The borough can't take possession of something that is not certified up to our standards that we feel is clean. So the council made the decision that we will amend the redevelopment agreement and take that out. The developer had posted a performance bond. This is the return of that performance bond. So it's not money that we get, it's money that they had put up as a result of their guaranteeing performance project-wide, and this was a component of that project. So now that this is being amended, the redevelopment agreement was already amended at a previous meeting, we are now returning the performance bond. They posted a bond. So this goes back to them. All right, so pedestrian safety. Chris. Yeah, I agree. And one of the things that we recently did was we brought the Public Safety Committee back together. It was disbanded a few years ago. Your husband was very vocal about it. And Teresa's heading that up. What I would suggest is a couple of things, and this will combine some of those different issues. One, if you can bring back to the committee the Amazon drivers, the pedestrian safety, and the idea of a no right turn from William onto Grove. I think that is warranted. I think it's a good idea. Let's vet it through public safety and have them make a recommendation back to the council for acting on that. Because it's also a tight corner. When you try to make a right there, it's a pretty tight corner, so you're swinging out almost into the oncoming traffic as well, because it kind of juts out a little bit. So I think that's a great comment. As far as the street fair, absolutely you can. There's a payment required for that. You can actually touch base with Mr. Sluka after the meeting, and he can give you a contact at the DSA, the Downtown Somerville Association, who can provide you with that information. It might even be on the website.
That fair is run by streetfairs.org.
Oh, it's not?
The street fair in October is not run by the DSA. It's run by streetfair.com.
So if he goes to...
I can coordinate that communication.
Okay. So streetfair.com, and that should be able to get you the information.
It's streetfairs.org.
Oh, sorry.
We were close.
Yeah. You eventually get there.
He's young. He'll figure it out. All right. And I think I can't read my writing after that. No turn on red.
Traffic calming.
Oh, traffic calming. Thank you. Traffic calming on Grove.
Bridge.
On Bridge. And also, did somebody say also on Grove?
On Grove.
Yeah. Can we check into that, Kevin?
I do recall that those were the older, and gentleman's absolutely correct. They were the older model ones that probably were one of the first in the municipality that they no longer made parts for us, so they were eventually removed, but not replaced with a new one.
Well, and if I recall correctly, those were the ones that were hardwired powered. Mm-hmm. Can we have Rodney look into obtaining the solar powered? Because I think those are two main thoroughfares that absolutely warrant having those.
Sure.
Thank you.
If I can add, I know there is one on Bridge now.
Yeah.
Headed towards 22. But there's a tree, and the branches are usually blocking it, so you really can't see it.
All right. Well, we'll have DPW take a look at that.
Shouldn't we move them around too?
Well, now these are they're solar, but they're still mounted. All right. I think that covers all of the comments that came up. So for the scouts, Obviously, there's a public session, and it allows the public to come up, and it's, the goal is they're allowed to make comment on anything. A lot of times it comes in the form of a question, and we'll write those down and try to answer them as best we can. But it really is a time for public comment. I know you're here for conflict. I don't know if we're going to have any conflict tonight, unfortunately. But the way conflict is resolved at the table is we have a discussion. So part of my job is to moderate that discussion. And if we have an issue that comes up, a council person will make a motion on a resolution or an ordinance to bring it to the table so that we can have discussion on it. And whether it's a resolution or ordinance, it still has to, it has to be voted to be approved to state their opinion as to why they think it should or should not be enacted as a resolution or an ordinance. And then from that, we then take a vote. And it's democracy in action and majority rules. So if it's 4-2, 5-1, 6-0, it either passes or fails depending on how that vote goes. If there's a tie, if it's 3-3, then I cast the deciding vote. That's the only time I'm allowed to vote is when there's a tie. And that's how we handle resolution. It's handled, I like to say it's handled like ladies and gentlemen. We're all here for the same thing. We're all here to better Somerville. And we might have different thoughts about how best to do that at times. And that's okay. That leads to discussion. Sometimes it'll reinforce your position, and sometimes it may even change your mind. But that's the democratic process, that it's open, it's vetted, which means we discuss it and we try to attack it from different angles. And then we try to come to a solution. And that solution may get voted down, but we then may come back at it a different way. Or it just goes by the wayside and we move on. But the goal is that we make these good judgments for the betterment of our town, for the betterment of all the folks that live here in Somerville. That's our job. So that's how we handle conflict. Now, having said that, we'll probably go into some heated conflict after this. All right. Consent resolutions. I will pull 56 off for comment and further discussion. Any others that people want pulled off?
We still have the ordinance, correct?
Oh, yeah,
Intro.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I jumped. I'm sorry about that. All right, ordinance for introduction, number 2755 is amending Chapter 102-4 of the Borough Land Use and Development Code, Article 2, entitled Definitions, Section D and Section 1, creating a definition of deck and identifying the improvement coverage for pools and decks. So, again, this is an ordinance that the council is now considering. And we have, I'll call it spring and summer homeowner investment season coming up. And one of the challenges we've had in the past is, I should say one of the challenges that homeowners have had is impervious coverage on their lots. We have a lot of 50 by 150, sometimes smaller, sometimes bigger lots. And one of the things that's frustrated folks is if they want to put a deck, whether it's a small deck or a medium-sized deck or even a large deck or a pool, it falls into what we call impervious coverage. And the definitions of that impervious coverage sometimes boggles people's minds. They look at a pool and say, how can a pool be impervious coverage? It's water, it's rain going into water. So the planning board looked at it, and they've made the recommendation to council that the pool should be excluded from impervious coverage. And they've crafted a formula for decks. So a 10 by 10 deck is excluded from the impervious coverage, and then the square footage after that will be at 50% of impervious coverage. If it's a slate patio, it's impervious. This is specifically decks. Planning board vetted this pretty thoroughly. They had a subcommittee tackle it first, then brought it back to the planning board. They reviewed it and unanimously asked for it to be forwarded up to council in time for investment season, homeowner investment season. So that's kind of the overview of this ordinance. I will ask for any public comment on this. Again, we don't have to have public comment at the introduction of an ordinance, but longstanding practice, that's what I do. So public comment on 2755 is now open. Yes.
Hi, Jeff Kaiser, 23 Vanderveer Avenue. So I'm curious as to the equation or how the planning board came up with the fact that a pool is not impervious coverage. A pool is basically, it's a hole dug in the ground, or if it's an above ground, either way there is a material that is placed down that is impervious. So having studied this quite a bit, and the Environmental Commission as a part of, I'm interested to know why that would not be considered impervious.
I think most every homeowner would look at it and say the same thing. It's not impervious, it's water. I understand that there is a liner underneath, or there's concrete or fiberglass underneath. But this is for above-ground pools only, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, Roger?
It's in ground and above ground.
It
It's
is,
both.
okay,
Yeah.
it's both. And the reality is, if we have that much rain and it's affecting us that greatly, where then we're all in trouble. And I think it was a common sense approach that folks used to allow people to invest without having to go to the zoning board in their property and enjoy a little bit of recreation in their own backyard.
No, I totally understand putting a pool in. I mean,
Yeah.
that sounds great. I wish I had enough space to put a pool in my property. I just know that every impervious coverage we place in town, especially since we're a town of small properties, everybody's impervious coverage does affect the next door neighbor. So I just wanted to point that out. It's the same as if you wanted to put in a small deck that's along, you're talking about decks. It does talk about totally impervious, like fiberglass or stone or whatever, and that's 100%. But if you put a small deck next to someone else's property, like your neighbor's property, the runoff will go into their property.
Well, they still have to comply with the standard setback rules. All of the other ordinances still, they have to comply with. So it's not that this supersedes and they're allowed to butt up right onto the property.
What's the setback rule for this? Do you know?
Offhand, I couldn't tell you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends which yard. Yeah.
Well, it would depend on what zone you're in,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, the setback off the next property line would depend on whatever it says in the land use code, 25 feet or 15 feet, based on that particular zone. I just don't know.
Yeah, offhand, I don't know it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, do we have a motion for introduction?
Motion to introduce, then questions, please.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble understanding it completely. So because of the deck, so when we put a deck around the pool, especially if it's not an above wooden deck, that's gonna take up more impervious coverage, right? So what is this saying? That we can put 100 square feet more, or the same size as the pool? I'm not getting this. It
So
says 100 square feet exemption or the 50% reduction. So how is this to be played out?
So I'm a
So
little,
I think, Councilwoman, you're confusing the deck on a pool to a deck on the house, right? So, so the thought process behind that was to allow someone to build a deck on the back of their homes to allow patio seating there for up to 100 square feet. After 100 square feet, the deck any further would be counted as 50% improvement coverage. And obviously, you still have to comply with the setbacks. So the idea was to not necessarily allow someone to build just a very large, like, dance floor, but enough that it could provide, entertainment, or for someone to sit out there. That's the 100 feet. 100 feet of, like, is like free.
it's a 10 by 10.
yeah.
100 square feet is a 10 by 10.
And that was the thinking behind the,
So that's the limit, 100 square feet of deck?
No, that's the limit of what is not considered impervious coverage.
so the deck itself also can't be covered. So when you kind of think of an elevated deck where your deck boards are separated by 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch, where the rain can kind of or anything
Right.
can just flow through, right? So yes, and the mayor is correct. So the first 100 is kind of what you could do. Over that, you have to, it counts as 50%. If you then go to exceed the lot coverage, then you'd have to go to the appropriate board to get that approval.
Yeah, the problem right now is people are very limited in how they can improve their backyards, their property. And without adjusting it, they're forced then to go to the Board of Adjustment, which becomes a very expensive task. And we're trying to allow people to just create some, entertainment in their backyard.
Can somebody use the exemption to exceed the impervious surface on their allotment? Can they say, I'm already at my max, but I want to build a deck for an extra 100?
For a 10 by 10, they could.
They can.
That's it.
Okay, so they could exceed their allotted amount through this exemption.
Well, if they're beyond their lot coverage?
No, if they're already
No,
maxed out
They're
at
maxed at their
their
lot
impervious, they could install a 10 by 10. Because that would not count.
That would not count, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, I too would question the logic of how a pool is an impervious surface. But I think the wording in the last sentence here about 50% reduction in calculating the improvement coverage of the lots, we should make sure that that's specific to the deck and clear that we're not giving them a 50% discount on all of the impervious surface. Just the way that it's written is slightly confusing. I'm not contesting the principle, but the way it's written, I would hate to open the door to something we don't intend.
So say that again, so,
So the last sentence here,
Yeah.
or the 50% reduction in calculating the improvement coverage of the lots. One way to read that would be that it would be all of the improvement coverage of the lot. A 50% reduction would be applied.
all right, so we can have the planner look at clarifying that
When the
language
intent,
a little bit.
as you explained, it was that the deck that goes beyond it,
Yeah.
the additional amount would be 50% of that would be counted towards their impervious surface. Which, okay, sure.
All right, can you ask Mike Cole to adjust that, just to clarify it?
Sure, and
Thank
and
you.
obviously this goes back to your planning board, the planning
Yes.
board of Somerville anyway.
Yeah.
This is an aside, but there is a fence ordinance for pools as well?
It's a code requirement,
Yes.
Okay.
That's a state requirement.
minimum 6-foot fence.
Even for portable pools, because I've seen it in town without.
Well, if you have a pool that you're putting up in the borough, up to a certain size, you have to come in for a permit. So that would all be part of the permitting process and then getting the approval to open said pool through the permit.
Thank you.
All right, roll call.
Council members, Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
So do we need to,
We're on a roll call.
We're voting to introduce.
there
at
was a
this point.
motion and a second.
Yeah.
Discussion.
Right,
and
so
then the
yes introduces, no tables.
vote. Are you okay with that?
well, we're sending it back to the planner, so we're going to introduce it as is and then get it
Yeah,
modified?
it goes back to
Yeah,
the
it
planner.
actually goes back to the planning board,
Yeah.
so it's required to do that. Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Dene,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic.
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
Okay, consent, so you saw that there was a little bit of conflict there. It really wasn't even conflict, it was more clarification. So you saw how the table handled that, how the council handled that. There was discussion back and forth, and that's how it's done. So I will pull 56 off for further discussion. Are there any others that somebody would like to have pulled off? All right. 52 is approving the Central Jersey Corvette Club to utilize parking spaces in front of Historic Courthouse on June 6 and August 1. 53 is approving Somerville Street Fair on October 5th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Main Street. 54 is appointing Deputy Emergency Management Coordinators Kevin Sluka, Brian O'Neill, and Jeremy Susser. 55 is appointing Kevin Sluka and Officer David Chudy to the Somerset County Safety Plan Implementation Committee. 57 is approving a bond release request for A&A Somerville LLC, 40 Haines Street Development, property known as Block 50, Lots 3, 13, and 14, for application number 201-007P and CHA project number 32956. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Roll call.
Council members, Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Dene,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic.
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, 56 is authorizing and directing the Planning Board of the Borough of Somerville to re-examine all current redevelopment areas and associated plans to determine if they reflect the needs and objectives of the borough for redevelopment pursuant to NJSA 40A:12A-1. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
All right, discussion. So, this resolution will refer back to the planning board to begin the process of addressing all of our redevelopment plans and also our master plan. The redevelopment plans, as I've explained it in the past, were created over the course of the last 10, 12 years, if not even a little bit longer. And they were all created individually. Over the course of time, we've seen a lot of success within those specific redevelopment areas. And these areas are the West Main Street redevelopment area, the East Central Business District redevelopment area, the Landfill and Station area redevelopment area, the Kirby Avenue redevelopment area, and the Gaston Avenue redevelopment area. So as these have gained success over the course of a decade, we now have to look and understand how each one of these plans now has had an effect on the other plans overall, and assess it as it relates to the borough as well. So the planning board is ready to begin tackling that. They're waiting for a referral from the governing body, which this does, and they will then create a hierarchy of what they think should be attacked first. Their goal will be to create those objectives and recommendations and bring them back to the council. The planning board's job is to plan. And that's something that I think they've gotten away from in the last 5 years. They've become more of an application body as opposed to a planning body. And one of the goals of what I'd like to see them do, and I know Roger would as well, because Roger sits on the board as well, is to get them to think longer term. Over the last 5, 6 years, they've really just looked at short-term projects as opposed to long-term visioning for the borough. And we have to take a look at what successes have been created in Somerville, and there's a lot of them, and adapt that into the current redevelopment plans, some of which were created 12, 13, 14 years ago. And that needs to be done. So, the objectives will then begin to be vetted at the planning board level. Their job is not to come back to us with a plan. Their job is to come back to us with some draft recommendations of where they think the future of the borough will lie in the next 10, 20, 40, 50 years. At that point, that referral will be made back to the council, and the council will look at it and say, okay, for example, we'll use the West Main Street redevelopment area. We agree with, points A, B, and C on your referral. We don't agree with D and E, and in fact, we want you to take it a step further and go to F and G, and whatever those may be. Once the council does that, it then goes back to the planning board for them to do what I'll call an official amendment to the redevelopment area. And at that point, it triggers the full redevelopment plan, notifications to all appropriate property owners and adjacent property owners to that redevelopment area. So this is beginning that process of allowing our planning board to begin to address our current plans and adjust them for the vision of Somerville's future. So, that cover it? That cover it? That covered it.
Where does the master plan fit in with this?
That's something that the planning board is kind of not grappling with, they're in discussion with. Does the master plan come first and then the redevelopment plans from it, or vice versa? So that's something that they haven't settled on just yet.
Or at the same time? What is our schedule for the master plan? Don't we have a schedule for getting that done?
Yeah, you have to update about every 10 years.
And where are we at?
When was the last time it was done, Colin?
About 7.5 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
So starting our process again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right, roll call.
Council members: Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Denny,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, bills and vouchers.
I make a motion to approve bills and vouchers in the amount of $1,136,814.63.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Council members Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Denny,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, before we ask for adjournment, I would like to again thank the Scouts of Troop 84 and also their leaders, because they take the time out of their evenings to help all of you become fine, upstanding young citizens. So thank you for coming out. Hopefully you learned something. Did you all learn something? Yeah. Did I hear a sure? Sure. But thank you. We appreciate you coming out. With that, I won't go to Andrew again because he got it last time. Gina, I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, meeting is adjourned.